They're one of my
right.
all-time favorites for sure.
3,
Nice.
2,
Hell
1.
yes.
I figured it's
Wildly uninteresting.
You were looking down like your eyes are fucked up.
Oh man, welcome to
so
the Halloween show.
Oh man, I didn't do my shit.
So welcome to the show. This is our Halloween episode.
Wait. Wait.
We have an eagle. We have a I don't even know what I'm at. Yeah. Bringing out the animal, yo. Nice. Welcome to the show.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm an amalgamation of different things. My head, I'm part of Team Zisu's filming crew. My torso here is I'm a Twin Peaks resident from 1994, and my bottom half is gym shorts. And if LeBron James was a poor white dude but still a bitch.
That's
nice.
right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Is this mine?
No. You can just take a
Oh,
blank
Jesus
page
Christ.
Well,
Whatever.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome
Hi.
to Sarah and Adam Prepare.
Well, no, I use a specific notebook to take
I don't know
notes.
where it's at.
That's
Just use
fine.
a regular page.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm never ready.
Anyways, so how's the motherfucking week going? What you got going
cool.
on? The show last night, was it delightful?
Yeah, it was
Was it
cool. There was a costume contest, and I ended up being like the host of it, but I didn't know that I was until it was over.
Did you dress up for that?
Yeah, I was a mad scientist, Dr. Faust Mephistopheles.
God, who's this?
It's just
Who
a
is
guy
this?
that I made up.
But
But Faust is the thing there about that devil deal dude thing, and then Mephistopheles was like the devil guy. So I kind of it's derivative.
What kind of science does this doctor do?
Well, he's a surgeon and he's a physicist, and he kind of has a I don't know. He thinks too much of himself, so he's also a god.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
it's
get
nice.
it.
So he's Rick.
All the things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before
Replacing
Rick
parts
was
with
Rick.
other
That's
parts.
right.
Yeah, I'm old school that. But the dude that ended up winning, he was just a pumpkin. Like it was kind of like a baggy like. But I feel like in part my hype got him the victory.
Yeah.
Because like I just kept calling him the slutty pumpkin. Because like there's that episode of How I Met Your Mother, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the slutty pumpkin, so I was like, the slutty pumpkin. I was like, slutty pumpkin.
Fucking pumpkin one.
I think I'm the only one that didn't prepare something for the Halloween episode. I think I have one
It's fine.
topic.
Let's
which
pretend
is
that we
pretty
didn't
amazing.
prepare and we just know this stuff naturally.
Guess what we learned today? You know what? That's just like everything else in America. I don't fucking know any history. I don't know any history of St. Patty's Day. I don't know any history of any holiday.
I learned through my study of Halloween that Halloween is more Irish than St. Patrick's Day.
Check that out. That's fucking crazy. Oh yeah, baby.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's like our holiday. It's redheads, and it's funny because all redheads think they're like Irish, which I'm sure there's a little truth to that.
Well, yeah. It's like all people with good cheekbones and slightly dark skin think they're Native American.
Oh yeah,
Right.
You always hear that.
It'd be funny if they were.
It would be kind of funny.
I love when people are super jacked about being like 1/18th Cherokee or some
Right.
shit, and then they put that in a conversation like it's a thing, like
You can
1/18th.
get a scholarship for that
I'm a
shit.
minority of a minority.
Bullshit. Really? That's terrible.
I don't know if you can an 18th, but I think
Yeah, I think you have to be a quarter, maybe
quarter.
an eighth.
I was thinking an 8th.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's insane.
Well, there's a part of me that's like, well, that's garbage.
Yeah,
But,
it's
you know, I
complete
mean,
garbage.
they did get their land taken, and
I would say, yeah, they did get
yes.
handled for their fucking land. They were like, come over here, this is ours, like, big
all right,
kids.
whatever. Don't ramble. Let's talk about Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween,
Let's talk about
baby.
death and shit.
Yeah.
Halloween when I was a kid was my favorite fucking holiday.
Yes, it's
Hell yeah.
easily the best.
But
Yeah.
do you get a day off work for Halloween?
Nope.
No,
No,
ain't that crazy?
it's
We get
not
to
a
dress
national
up.
holiday.
It should be.
No, it really should be considering how long it's been celebrated
Yeah.
and
No, did you know
Can
we
we
didn't start
please?
really celebrating it in America until after World War II?
yes, I did know that.
I figured you did.
Good job.
Well done. This is for the stupid listeners that don't know shit about dick.
I think it's more
Did
about
shit.
like what is it about us that love dressing up and being something different than
It's
what we
just
truly
fun.
are.
Yeah,
It's
it
really
kicks
fun
ass.
to be something you're not.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be surrounded by a weird ass wolf man and an eagle person.
I just put on random stuff because really you can only see from like here up. So we had to like, you know,
Yeah.
our
I
options
think
were
it's
limited.
great because all I can see is that. So that's what you look like
It's
to
like
me.
you have a
Perfect.
Frankenstein's monster head too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's terrible because the
No,
my hat doesn't go over the headphones.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to get like a big ass Viking hat or something, but I don't know how the logistics of getting some headphones would be. You know what I mean? It'd be terrible.
It's what you look like.
That's what you
You
look
just
like.
look like that to me.
Show the
Yeah.
people.
Oh,
The
here
people.
Here we go.
Yeah.
People's madness.
Now that's gonna require Adam to cut to. Nope, never mind.
Yeah.
Look
Never
at you, you
mind.
did it.
I got you.
It's
We're
like you
gonna
care,
have to cut.
care about your boy.
Check me
right.
out.
Make
Yeah,
it
man.
easier for him.
But I don't
So-
know anything about Halloween.
I think you should tell us about your dream first to kind of start it off because it's fucking strange.
Yeah, let's get it
No.
going.
Yeah.
No,
How
it just
strange
it
is
has
it?
it's
real
it has
odd.
some stuff to do with playing like being in a video game and shit. I don't quite know. I haven't worked it out in my head yet because
Yeah.
it's all fucked up. But I've had it 2 nights in a row, the same exact dream, and then at the end
That's
of the
what
dream.
I think is weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean exactly the same, and I wake up 4 times within the dream, the same points in the game.
God.
The last stage of the game, it's me and her, and then like 2 other people, and I don't know who the 2 other people are. And we're running out into a field.
Are you
and there's-
comfortable with them?
I guess so because
Okay.
you know I think we're running to our death, and we're all good with it, right?
Yeah.
So you got to run out to the field. There's trenches, and in my head, I believe that in these trenches, this thing's fucking my voice up. In these, that didn't
Yeah,
work
blame it on the mask.
Yeah.
in these
Blame it on the boogie.
in the trenches, there's like there's supposed to be like a motorcycle, right? And then we got to find the motorcycle in like seconds and then drive it away real fast. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Do
And
you
there's
have
like
the keys, or are the keys on it?
they're in
Are
it,
you hot
probably,
wiring?
yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume
He's
they're in
just
it.
assuming that they're in it.
Yeah,
and
I'm
truly
assuming there's a
doesn't know.
motorcycle. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they may not literally be, but I mean, do you have the feeling that you?
I do.
Okay.
But I feel like there's only like seconds to find this thing before everybody's like, all right, well, the best option here is just to duck in one of these trenches and close your ears as hard as you can. And then all of a sudden, I guess an atomic bomb drops on us. And I get this overwhelming feeling from head to toe, like euphoria, but it's like this rush, like a blood, just all the way down to my feet. And I wake up, man. But I wake up with like the pillow like on my head, I'm like scrunched down, like literally feeling like I'm in this. It's like an atomic bomb dropped on us. And I thought about that when I was driving today. I was like, if there was an atomic bomb to be dropped on us, you would never know it. It would land.
Yeah, I mean, as
and
long as you're close enough to it.
Yeah.
You think you would hear it coming? like the yeah.
Damn it!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
feel
think you
like
would
at
hear
first
that.
Wait, let me finish my dinner.
Right. I think at first you'd be like, what? There's something.
Yeah.
It would almost be like that silent hum
Yeah.
that you can hear.
Well, see, that's
would-
the crazy thing is like it feels like everything like disappears, like all the madness in the world for those few seconds right before it hits.
Yeah.
Like nothing matters, and there's a sense of like I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Like your body internally knows, like, yo, it's that time. Let's fucking like do it.
It's like before a splash of water comes up, it does that weird little go
Yes.
Oh yeah,
thing.
and it comes back. Yeah,
Absolutely.
man. It just feels like calm, and I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people get that right before they die. They feel an overwhelming sense of calm, and then they
Well,
die.
And
Unless
me
they get their
and-
throat slit and they didn't expect it.
Yeah.
It's just, oh god!
oh God, but they can't say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We watch a lot of those murder shows, and it's crazy because when you live in a world you don't really feel like, hey, like at any time I can get murdered, or
Mm-hmm.
somebody could be in my house and get slice my throat, right?
Yeah. Slaughtered.
Slaughter my throat. So you wouldn't feel that way. But we live in a society that could actually happen.
Yeah.
Like at
It can
any
happen
time,
at
right?
any time.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine in that moment? Like, I know you'd be fighting for your life, maybe, or maybe you're just
Maybe.
like, I'm cool with this.
Yeah.
But can you imagine being in that moment and just being like, well,
Man,
I tried.
if I could manage to make it quick, bro.
Yeah, I think I'd rather be shot with a gun.
I don't know.
Point blank
Oh,
in the head.
absolutely.
I
yeah.
think it would really suck either way.
I don't want to be tortured.
I think being shot would probably be better, but it would also depend on where, because it would depend on where you got stabbed.
No, that's
as
what I'm
well.
saying, like right here,
Oh,
in
yeah.
the forehead. Blow it all away.
Yeah, right through your brain.
Yep.
Just,
With a hollow point.
Yeah, and say, because there's
Yeah,
a
done.
chance that you still wouldn't die.
yeah.
I think a hollow point would do it, right?
I mean,
A hollow
chances
point
are,
in your brain would do it for
chances
sure.
are you're pretty doomed.
Yeah.
And that would feel good. Like, no, to get shot like in the shoulder or the knee or the dick or something.
No, that would be terrible.
I'm no part of that.
No.
I think
Then you just have to live with it.
you would definitely try to fight, whether it was your intention or not, because this weird feeling happens. I've had someone pull a knife on me once. It was a very small knife, but that did not matter.
Yeah, it's still gonna hurt.
Yeah, it didn't matter
Yeah.
to me.
It might not hit
and-
your liver, but it's not gonna feel good.
Yeah, it was a very weird feeling of,
Yeah.
You know,
I kind of thought that.
yeah,
It's like whenever you imagine things happening and then they happen, like your response is different from what you imagine.
for sure.
'Cause you're like, I'm
yeah.
not worried about these chemicals in my body doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I was selling drugs in high school, right? And I was selling a bunch of like,
Allegedly.
yeah, just a
Right,
bunch
allegedly.
of weed. It was just a bunch of weed, right? And I had all these. I guess
These
they had
tweeds.
come and they bought like 3 ounces. They were like, we want to try the product, and then they came back, right? All like suspiciously. And then there was a guy in the passenger seat, like laying down with a thing over his face. I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, they're just
thing
hot.
over his face.
Like a bandana.
Okay.
And I didn't think nothing of it. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah,
I
a bunch
walk
of-
out,
bunch of
man, and I had
laundry.
a backpack, and I had like 10 pounds on it. A little backpack, right? And I'm coming out there. I think a senior or whatever.
I'm cute, Adam. Look.
And then, like, the driver was like, come
my
on over
weed
here.
pack.
And I'm like, cool, man. Well, about that time, the guy in the laying back with the bandana pulled out a gun and was like, drop your shit. And
Fuck yo, shit.
my immediate reaction was to, like, run away. It wasn't to, like, fight the
Yeah.
gun.
Right.
But,
Fight or flight, flight one.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like most people would drop the bag of weed because it wasn't that important. But I was like, no, you ain't get my weed. And I took off running. I didn't get shot, though, which is, I
Hell
guess,
yeah.
a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
In some circles.
Yeah. Now you're just not cool. No.
You're not cool.
Well, see, now you're not gonna have any cool stories for your rap.
That was scary.
For your rap stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Almost got shot, but didn't get shot.
But didn't get shot. In
Brilliant.
my backpack.
That fixes that.
Done. I just wrote gold.
Yeah, that's just like a whole new line of thinking for people to relate to. Why is everybody always getting shot? I almost got shot, but I've never been shot.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, that
Damn.
neighbor Adam.
So has AA Ron.
Hey,
Or
Ron.
so has not AA Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Goodness.
So I don't know. I think in that moment, if somebody pulled a gun on you or a knife or whatever, I think you would fight. Your body would take over at that point.
Yeah.
That survival instinct would take over, and you'd be like, fuck this. I'm not getting.
I don't know. I mean, in spite of what I just said about the reactions and it
Yeah.
going differently, in my head, I'm just
Yeah.
like, you gonna kill me over this? If so, I win.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you're a bitch.
And I still win.
Yeah.
So.
I know.
It's
You
a
kill me or
win-win
not.
for me.
There's
Thank
no
you.
losing.
But there's people in that show, man, that have killed people over like $30.
Yeah.
That's what they kill over.
Yeah.
$30.
Over like fucking nothing.
So like whenever I go for a walk, I take $2 with me.
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't even take a wallet. I just have $2.
Yeah.
That way, if they get me, I'm like, you got me for $2.
Yeah.
Got him.
$2.
I hope it was worth it. All that hype beforehand.
Yeah, and I,
I wonder-
definitely know exactly what you look like. I'll be calling the
Yeah.
cops.
I guess murder is like art, right? So it's only
Good
depending on
murder.
how much that person thinks the murder's worth. So you're like, yo, man, will you kill this lady? And he's like, yeah, for 10,000. You were gonna pay 20 or 30, but you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool, I'll take that. You know what I mean?
Hey, that kind
Got
of
a
happened
deal.
on How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah,
Really?
Everything connects to it.
That's funny.
always.
No, really. I mean, there was just some artist guy, and Lily was selling his art for like a lot to these collectors and shit. But he was just some homeless guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
want to
it-
bite a pie?
Nope.
No thanks.
It all depends
want a
on
pumpkin
how
latte?
much
Just throw it in a blender
the
and
art's
dump
work.
some milk on it.
You think
guess
about
so.
that, like some art looks like a little child drew it, little kid drew it, right?
Yeah.
And it sometimes it makes me laugh because I have these people on my Facebook too that are like, they're like, I'm an artist, right? I'm a painter, and then like they'll paint something that truly looks like a 2-year-old fucking hammered down with the paintbrush. And it's like, I don't know if you're an artist, but if somebody paid $10
But
for
you
it,
do
you're an
paint.
artist.
Yeah, I mean,
You
really,
paint.
it's just a matter of, I mean, their process is kind of important to it, but does it affect you?
Right.
Oh no,
I'm saying
No.
him, definitely not.
I guess they're shitty artists.
Based on the statement. Yeah.
Yeah, it was it looked like stick figures.
I guess you would still be considered an artist. It's just
Yeah.
that
Just not a
perhaps
good
you're
one.
not good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like being a parent, you know? You have a kid,
Exactly.
you're not always a good parent. but-
right.
Yeah.
But you are.
So I mean, some people don't use proper reflective things on their kids' costumes for Halloween, right?
Maybe they do that on purpose.
And then as a result, did you know that kids are more than twice as likely to die on Halloween?
Damn, really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe their parent. If I was a parent, I'd probably do that on purpose. So
I know. I've got 7
You know what I mean?
kids. 5 of them
Might as
survive
well.
all as
Yeah.
well.
yeah, might as well.
I did a group at work on Friday, and I was just like shit talking until everyone was in there and asked if they had plans for Halloween, and it turned to the conversation of drugs being found in candy, which I didn't do research for this, but
I did.
oh, cool. Tell
Oh,
me
yeah.
if this is right.
It's-
The girl told me that there's never actually been a documented case of drugs and candy except one, and it was a parent drugging their child to kill him.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Actually, the one where the parent killed them, it was cyanide in 1974.
cyanide, that's exactly
Motherfucker.
what she said.
8-year-old Timothy O'Brien died of cyanide poisoning after eating Halloween candy.
Rest in
Investigators
peace,
later
Timothy
learned that
O'Brien.
his father
Yeah.
had taken out a $20,000 life insurance
Oh,
policy.
fucking-
He also attempted to poison the daughter,
Damn.
but she didn't eat the candy.
That's right.
And then another instance of,
Get 'em,
of
girl.
the shit. In 1970, a 5-year-old boy, Kevin Toston, or Toastone, I don't know.
Toastone.
Who cares? He's dead. He ate candy laced with heroin.
Ooh, I
But
want that.
investigators later discovered that the heroin belonged to the boy's uncle and was not meant to be eaten as candy.
Yeah, no
So,
shit.
yeah, all the shit of drugging and all this shit. There was
Yeah.
one case, I forget her name. It was in the 60s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She got frustrated with, like, older kids trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
So she wrapped up, like, rat poison in aluminum foil
Yeah.
and handed it to him. But, like, it was clearly...
Clearly
like-
fucking wrong.
No, it was like labeled and shit. It's like it's not like it was masquerading as candy.
Yeah.
But she said she did it like just because she was frustrated, like as a joke. It
Yeah.
was like, here, don't eat this, but here's what you fucking get.
Yeah,
you
here's what you
bastards."
get. It's essentially like giving coal on Christmas.
Yeah.
Now maybe
Yeah.
they didn't give the kids candy, but did you read that report about them confiscating all them drugs? I think it was within the last month or two,
No.
and they were packaged as like candy.
Oh, yeah. They were
Yeah.
packaged as lifesavers.
Lifesavers, man.
How you gonna find that?
Yeah.
You know what throws
Swear
me
to
for a
God.
loop? I don't know, like some of these hiding
Sweet
spots
tarts.
and shit. Some of the hiding
what it
spots
was.
and stuff are just insanely good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I guess for an officer, the DA, I'm sure they see a lot of that shit all the time. But it makes you wonder,
The
like,
drug eating
how the
agency.
fuck did they figure it out? How'd they figure it out?
Awesome.
You know what I mean? They said the biggest drug carrier is the United States Postal Service.
It would
I
have
would-
to be a dog that found it.
I
Oh,
would say
yeah.
either that or somewhere along the way, like
Oh, a
stuff
snitch.
trickles down.
Yep.
Actually, like I was thinking, even maybe one of their kids, they're talking and they overhear them of, oh, like my friend had these sweet tarts and
He put them in the tires.
yeah, they were fucking Xanax, like whatever.
Although-
Maybe that happens.
I mean, I guess realistically though, it could be kind of suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, you're thinking, why are all these candies coming across the border when we have the
We have
factory
candy
here?
Yeah, no shit.
Why is it in an SUV? What? Don't you guys have marked trucks for your product?
Yes,
All
yes.
right, now it seems a little less crazy.
I would think too, though, like that definitely. But as someone who's trying to find drugs, you have to try and think like a drug dealer, and the cartel, I guess. And if you're always trying to find new ways to not get caught, you have to get creative. So even though you're not selling drugs, you have to try and think of how would I package it if I were trying to keep the cops from seeing it. And maybe they just get lucky sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe they do.
Hell yeah.
I just think when we used to try to find Dad's half pints that he hid around the house. It's like, I think I got really good at finding people's hiding spots. When I was a little kid, that was like a game to us. Like, who could find it and then fill it up with water. It was a game. And I got really good at finding them, though.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I don't think people are as covert as they think they are.
Yeah.
They're not really doing a really good job at hiding it.
No.
I think, too, you got to hide it well, and you also got to, like, play the part really well. Because if you give it away,
believe
you're
it
acting.
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like
You can't just
if you're
do
checking out a chick's ass from across the room and you're pretending you're looking at like a light over there, you got to be looking at the light.
You better know a lot about that light.
Yeah.
What kind of light it was. And have a story for the light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why are you
I'm
looking at that shit?
Why are you looking at that light so much and licking your lips? I don't get it.
My father was a
Licking your
moth.
lips. Hell yeah.
Love
So do
it.
you want to start with the history of Halloween? Would you like to do that?
I feel like that'd be okay.
Who knows the history?
I mean, like, okay, I guess I feel like everybody knows the Sam Hain stuff, although it is pronounced Samhain,
Yeah.
which doesn't make any fucking
No,
sense.
it doesn't at all.
Samhain. Yeah.
Yep.
Samhain. And if you say it wrong, they're all weird about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I say it like I've met these people.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit.
I talked to so many people about it,
Yeah.
and they're so offended.
But, it descends from the Irish kind of like Celtic shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
But then it started to morph into Halloween when the Christian church got a hold of it.
What?
Some of the practices.
You.
Yeah, because, they were unhappy with the Druid people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, fuck this. If we're going to spread the word of Christ, then we got to. But at the same time, like, it was.
How does that
There's
tie
no,
into
like,
Christianity?
There's no technical, like, historical record of all of this shit. So, I mean, it's all just kind of, like, loose
Yeah.
stuff.
like
It's
word
really
of
hard to
mouth.
research. You would think, the history of the greatest holiday that we have.
Right,
we
be
would know
easy.
it. But, I mean, they say allegedly it dates back to, like, 4000 BC.
Yeah.
Because they would, they would have bonfires and shit to kind of celebrate it's the end of summer.
Yeah.
And, like, okay, if we have a bonfire going, it'll tempt the sun to come back at the end of our shit. And, like, okay, we won't die. This will be great.
Yeah, it will be great. Yeah.
I think I would have done really well back in those times when you could just make up shit and be like, I think if we start a bonfire, it might persuade the sun to come back next year
And
sometime.
I think it's interesting too because they also believe that during that time, like the portal to the other world
Yes, the
was
fabric
open.
there. Yeah.
So they would dress in they would dress in costumes and shit to like scare away like evil
I
spirits.
know, which seems weird.
Yeah.
I thought that the whole time. It was like, I mean, I could kind of see, like, with him looking over the mic at you, like, okay, that's a little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, if I'm
Thank you.
an evil spirit and I've just come from the other realm, I'm like, fuck this,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, am I really scared of someone
in a
dressed in
house?
pigskin?
And then, like, they would put out like food and shit to, like, kind of appease
like an
the
offering?
spirits.
yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to know if there were any records of any spirits actually consuming the goods.
Oh, I would love to know that.
But I would assume, though, it ended up just being like the homeless people, because you see where they had like they would go around and part of it was like a begging kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you knock on the door and they're like, please, sir,
Oh,
give
I
me some
Mm-hmm.
morsels.
Can I have these morsels?
Yes.
And then there was
So
also
hungry.
the Irish thing. Instead of just like the homeless people looking for like food and shit, like kids would go around and they get coins and food and shit, but they would have to dance
Yeah.
or like sing a song for it.
Oh, no
So
way.
it was like an
Some
exchange
more just trick or
thing.
treat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the
I wonder
immigrants
how many kids
came
got
over.
touched during that time.
Well, probably a lot of them.
Probably all of
Let me
them.
put this
Yeah.
finger in you,
Yeah.
and I'll give you a piece of candy. One
Okay.
piece of
When
candy.
this coin, let me flick your balls.
Let me flick it one time.
Yeah, flick them balls.
Damn it, man. It's a rough life for a beggar, man.
It is.
Yeah. I don't know though. If I was back there, I'd probably let somebody flick my balls for a piece of candy.
Yeah, absolutely. It beats dying.
Yeah. If Sarah, you want to flick my balls anytime, just let me know. But you better have that candy queued up.
You know that's bonfire. You know they would throw animals and shit in, and they would burn bones and shit as sacrifice to the gods of shit.
Yeah.
But bonfire is just bonefire without the E.
Oh,
so that's where that comes from.
Interesting.
Oh.
At least that's what I learned from the internet.
Yeah.
Don't you love the internet?
Don't quote me, but that's what I'm going with.
I wanted to know about like why caramel apples came into the picture essentially, which no one technically knows.
Right?
But it's I have to read off of this.
As people say.
Yeah. So
no wait. Say
what? Oh, I got you. Yes. According to the lore, in 43 AD, yes, the Celtic territory was taken over by the Romans at that time, the Roman Empire, and they had, let's see, what was it called? There was, in combination with Samhain,
Samhain.
Feralia was in late October, and it was the Romans when they commemorated the passing of the dead, and then a day to honor Pomona, who was the goddess of fruit and trees.
Yes.
And it was represented by an apple, and it's thought to be either that's where bobbing for apples came from, or caramel apples.
Dude, did you
both.
know the shit? Okay, so I learned
Meat
that
stick.
the Halloween wasn't always like, ooh, the dead and, you know, sacrifices and shit. Like, I think the British people, they would use it as a way of finding their their soulmate.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Hell
like they would,
yes.
yeah, which is fucking ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
they would bob for apples, and then, as the legends go, if she slept with the apple she caught beneath her pillow, she would have a dream where she would see the face of her future husband.
Hell yes.
Now, I wonder how often they
awesome.
actually found their future husband by doing that, though.
Well, I would assume
I would love to
a
know
lot,
that.
because there were like 5 people in a village.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, yeah, there wasn't really much going on
So
back
100% of the time.
Yeah. I had a dream about you, Derek.
The real question was it their soulmate though?
Indeed.
then. Yeah.
But that is how
My
it went.
bird body feels good.
Bird.
I like my bird body. Ooh, hey.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
Relating to the homeless people and shit, I didn't think about this. So, okay, well, trick-or-treating in America started, after World War II?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, but American kids were known to go out on Thanksgiving and ask for food, a practice known as Thanksgiving begging.
Wow. See, no,
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Isn't
Where's
that the
this?
whole purpose of Thanksgiving is to give, thankfully,
Thankfully.
and be thanks
Hell
for the
yeah.
things that are given?
So what, people come knocking on your door asking for food, you're like, thanks. Thanks for letting me give you some
Yeah,
shit.
thank you for letting me.
You homeless schmuck.
You homeless
Rake my
piece of shit.
leaves.
Whenever, let's see, when they would go around and beg for food and people would pass out soul cakes is what they called them. It was believed, as the lore says, to date back to All Saints Day parades in England. Is what All Saints Day parade.
Fucking England.
Yeah, fucking England.
This is one of those instances, if it wasn't for immigrants, then we wouldn't have the cool shit. Mm-hmm. As the Irish brought it over.
Yeah, what the fuck would we'd have just a bunch of violence and dead people.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Maybe. I thought like English people brought over a lot of things, right? Europeans brought over a lot
Yeah.
things, right?
Hell yes.
So
I
if
mean,
they brought
Indians
over a
really
lot,
just gave us teepees and the peace
and
pipe.
peyote,
So.
and, yeah.
Well, and that's I'm thinking. I'm not saying that they're aggressive. I'm saying it would
No, they were
nothing
cool as
would
shit.
yeah nothing would transfer over except the murder and warfare
Yeah.
essentially. So all these people would be dead, and it would just continue to be aggression and hatred.
Although, I mean, I guess realistically, though, those were immigrants, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
if it weren't for immigrants, we wouldn't have the the mass slaughter of the Indians. But we also wouldn't have Halloween. So it kind of shakes out.
Yeah.
So I wonder when it comes down to that, like, okay, that's like a grand question. And I understand it. Trust me, I'm not like debating it because I'm sure there's going to be people that like get really pissed off at that. And I don't want you to think that I'm like, were Indians really here first? But if you think, okay, you think about now and how many people are on the earth right now. There's a lot. There's billions, right? Well, now think back to those times and how many people were on the earth at that time. How do they know? How do the Indians know for a fact that they were the first, that it was their land? Like, how do they know for a fact that all of the United States were
we'll simmer down.
Indians? Like,
that's not a realistic picture of it.
Yeah.
It's not like from sea to shining sea. It was just Native American tribes and shit. But, you know, they... I
won't tell my man to simmer down.
Simmer down, lady. But, you know, it's like they didn't come over and, that we know of, perform a mass genocide and...
Well, where did the Indians
take
come
the
from?
shit. I don't know. They came across the Bering Strait from wherever the fuck that was.
Wherever the fuck that was.
Apparently, I don't know a lot about American. I don't claim to either. I don't claim to know a lot, and that's fine. And I'm sure somebody could like, you know, hammer me with comments, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But it just...
We're open to learning here, so
and
if you know something,
I'm
tell
sure that
us.
Native Americans weren't like, yo, this is our land, because they're very peaceful people, even though we murdered the shit out of them. They were like, yo, we can all share this land, but you all have to, like, you know, listen to what we do, and we'll listen to what you do.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, they allegedly raped and murdered some of the new Americans.
After they took the land, though? Because I'd murder and rape if you took my land.
Well, yeah, I would too.
Come over to the house and try to take like take a blade of grass, and I'm fucking you in the ass. You like that?
Take some of that grass. Get fucked in the ass.
Well, no lube, man. But I
can't pass on that.
I just need to know if the Indians were proclaimed like, yo, this is our land, this is nobody else's, and they literally took it from us, right? I want to know that.
What?
He wants to know that that's 100% like that's how this happened.
If the Indians were predominantly like, how do the Indians for sure know that they were the only people on the American lands at the time? Because it was so vast, and they had horses, and it took fucking decades to go across these lands. Like, I just want to know. I want to know. Maybe they did. I don't know.
I don't think they did. I don't think they gave a shit.
You remember Oregon Trail?
Hell yeah.
How I couldn't even get like out of the state because like my horse would always get a fucking disease.
It always just...
Can you imagine driving a horse all the way to like California and be like, I'm really going to check out and see if we're the only people on these lands. My horse don't even make it out of Kentucky, but we're okay. You know what I mean? I'll just walk.
We're okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I would hate to be a part of that. My dad was always like, you know what? In a past life, I was a cowboy. I'm like, fuck that. No. I'm not doing that. I don't want to be a cowboy. You can take the internet away. You can take the car away. Still not going to be a fucking cowboy.
The difference is that we now have like modern medical science. Like, so we have vaccines and we have fucking showers. Can we just say we have showers? Women shave their legs. Like, we don't have, well, we have ways of taking care of syphilis and herpes and all these things, and they did not then. So they were just hairy, unshaven, syphilis, herpes-ridden people all over the place.
Shit.
Like, no one wants that shit. Why? So you can ride horseback?
They didn't have deodorant either.
Yeah.
I think about how disgusting women are anyways.
Yeah.
Could you imagine how disgusting women would be? Okay, yeah, my nutsack smells bad all the time, so but my nutsack doesn't leak. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't
get a
leak
yeast
anything.
infection. You just got to live with that until you die.
Yeah.
Yes. There's nothing going on down there. There's no excretion of fucking fluids. Can you imagine the smell that would come from between the legs of a winch?
And they called that musk.
Oh, God.
Oh, that sucks because I love musk.
That
no, I don't know. I just said that.
That Bear Grylls or Grills or Bear whatever.
Bear Grylls, man.
Yeah, there you go. He did that where he didn't shower for like 30 days. He lived out in the wilderness. He said, you think you would get used to that smell that comes from you after like a week? He was like, you don't. It gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
I'm sure they had ways of taking care of it. I'm sure they had at least a little bit. Like,
Oh yeah, I
it
mean, if
wouldn't
there's
be,
like a stream and shit, you can hop in it and
Yeah.
wash yourself off. But
It's like rub a pine cone under your nuts or something.
something, man. Yeah.
gotta be all
something.
sappy and sticky and shit.
Yeah,
It
I'm
was
sure they
bad.
had ways of making like essential oils from flowers, probably, and their shit was pretty cool. But anyways, it just I don't want to go back to those times.
No.
But if I could go back at least like a decade, I'd come up with Uber. Motherfuckers would be like, "How did he come up with all these ideas?" I'd be hitting everything. Uber,
Right.
fucking Facebook, you name it. I'm coming up with it. Be like, how did he do it? I'm like Biff from fucking Back to the Future. In a
That's
heartbeat,
right.
dude. I'm lying to everybody. That's who I'd like to come back as, Biff from Back to the Future.
So the Bering Strait is a strait of the Pacific which separates Russia and Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with Indians? That's where they came from?
It's been the subject of scientific hypothesis. Yeah,
Oh.
that's where they migrated. They migrated from Asia to North America across a land bridge.
A land bridge.
A land bridge.
So, yeah, I don't know about you, but I subscribe to the idea of Pangea. And it was all one massive land, and then it
Yeah.
spread out. So, and they
Yeah,
came.
but how can you be sure of that?
I can't
We
be.
can't be sure of
Oh.
anything, really.
But my main source of I guess, evidence, we'll say,
Yeah.
is just that it looks like on a map you could just push them together and they fit.
Yeah.
I watched a video when I was a kid. They had that where it showed them. They were like, they're kind of like puzzle pieces. And then they would put them back together. I was like, holy shit, it fits.
It's weird.
But have you ever been up in an airplane or a thing and you have seen like the land masses laid out? Like, how do we know for sure that the land masses actually look like that?
How
Maybe
do we
it's a
know
lie.
that the world's not flat?
I know. Haven't you ever seen a picture of Earth from space?
Oh, this one went off. Right?
I know.
But how do we know it's not fake? Like,
How do you know it's not
Yeah.
fake?
How do I know it's not doctored? Is space really black? If that's scared, why is the sky blue?
God, I
Because
hate
it reflects
people.
off the ocean.
Oh shit! I want to fucking kill human beings.
No, but when it comes down to it, right? How's anything in the scientific theory and all that shit? There's this thing called last Thursdayism, right?
Yeah.
And it says that how do you know that the universe wasn't created last Thursday? Because it very well could have been.
Right.
It could be a facade that it was created last Thursday to look like it's been here for billions of years.
Hell
The
yeah.
only thing
Tell me
that
that's not
humans,
enough to make your brain puke.
oh, I'm telling you,
Gosh.
the only thing that we can truly, without a doubt, 110% say is fact is the here and now. Like the seconds that are ticking by, every second. I know that's real because I'm in that moment, but you can't be for certain of anything. Like
you can't even realistically say that you know that that's real.
Right. Because that could apply to that as well. How do I know that this moment wasn't created just to
Fabricated,
seem
yeah.
like right now?
What if it's
Yeah.
a simulation and it's not really real?
Yeah.
Well, they talk
yes.
about the infinite universe or the multiverses, the infinite universes, infinite possibilities, and all that shit. That is one of the coolest things in my mind, that maybe we exist in a black hole, and then outside of that black hole is the actual universe, and it's aging, and then outside of that universe,
Hell yes.
it comes from a black hole, and then that universe is aging, and so on and so forth. You think about that, like that's enough to make your head explode. But I do like it though, because when you look back and you look into the universe, how do you know that shit wasn't created in the last moment you just thought about looking through the telescope?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
It
even
just
with
blew me
that,
up.
if you're looking through the telescope, you're looking at shit that's like millions of years old.
Yeah, you're actually looking into the past. That's something that it has always just like made my dick hard. Is the fact that every time you look at a star,
Dinosaurs.
yeah, you're looking when that light started its journey all the way to the Earth. There were it's way before the dinosaurs and all that shit, billions of fucking years ago. You're looking in the past.
Ashby, are you jacking off to that science book again?
I just love it. It's so
do,
good.
man. If I could stick my dick into the science book and have a baby, I would. And then when that baby grew
Science,
up, I'd punch him right in
baby.
the face for being so fucking complex.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
then if there are aliens looking at Earth,
Yeah.
then, they could be seeing like World War II happening.
Right?
Even though it's not really happening.
Shit.
So, like, that's happening over us.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea of
At least
that.
that's what they say.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, if it's true about the star and looking at a star is you're looking at the past, I mean, why wouldn't it be?
Indeed.
Hell yeah. It just hasn't played all the way through for their sight yet. I
It'd be
would hope,
kinda-
though, that aliens have up-to-date technology. And by up-to-date, I mean futuristic to us.
Advanced to us.
That allows them to see exactly what's happening. Maybe they can actually see the three of us sit here and they're like, why is this bitch dressed like an eagle? Or is that an eagle sitting at a table?
Why does that eagle have another face? What's happening?
They have evolved.
I love it.
We must stop them.
We gotta get there now.
Damn it, man.
I like that idea.
So I was reading up about this thing because I seen there's a bunch of madness on the internet about this haunted house.
Right.
I'm going to quote
Oh,
this
yeah.
in quotation, haunted house.
Yeah.
Right. Haunted house. Okay.
Wait,
Not
wait.
haunted.
Are you
So-
air quoting it like to support like you
No.
to support him,
Yeah.
or is it like air quoting his air quotes because you believe it?
Oh, I'm air quoting his air quotes because I believe it. It's not a haunted
Yeah.
house.
It's not a haunted house.
It's
Oh, okay.
just you're paying for abuse.
And
is
there's
what
a lot
it
of
is.
people on the
okay.
internet.
Is it one of those things like you just sign a waiver?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
So the people on the internet, they're like, yeah, I fucking do it. The dude he says, I'll pay you $20,000 if you can finish it. Which it's either like it was a 48
I feel
hours.
like it was 48 hours.
48
yeah.
hours you got to go to this place, right? It's just a dude, and he has like oh shit, we're on one. He has a garage out back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And okay, so you have to sign a waiver, which is 40 pages long, and that I think what happens. Let me lay it out. So
Lay it out, boy.
you sign a waiver for like 40-page waiver.
Was it I thought it was like 400 pages.
No, 40.
Oh,
So
it's
you
a fuck,
40
it's
pages.
long.
It's long as shit.
That was long as
You
shit.
go
Okay,
and
can
you
turn me back down.
You
I'm
like
sorry.
agree with all the stuff, like, you know, you might get a black eye, broken bones, blah blah blah. They don't hold any responsibility towards that, right?
Right.
You have to be above the age of 21. Like they have all this. You have to have a psych eval and a physical before you go in, and all this other shit.
Yeah.
So it's not a haunted house. The dude, what he does is he used to be an
It's a torture
interrogator.
dungeon.
Yes.
Yeah, but legal. It's legal. And the only price to get in is like a bag of dog food, and you can donate.
Oh, thank God he doesn't charge
Yeah,
you.
he doesn't charge a lot. He takes like donations and shit because a lot of people actually like going and trying.
Yeah.
So his whole thing, he was a military. The guy's name is Russ, right? And he used to be a military interrogator, right? You know,
Right.
interrogations. Got it.
Got
I
it.
think
Torturer.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think I think his thing is he started even from the first phone call, and that's what he says. He says like the haunted house starts when you make the first phone call because he has to screen you on Facebook or FaceTime or on the phone.
Yeah.
And what he does is like the whole thing is like a mind fuck. Like he's fucking you from the very beginning, and he makes you read word by word like the 40-page thing, and it takes like 4 hours to get through it.
They
And
started when it was daylight and it was
Dark
pitch
as
black
fuck.
outside
Yeah.
when
There's
they were
no.
done.
Yeah, I read it. Let's do this.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
no, read it to me.
They read it together.
Yeah.
They all read it together, and then so you're blindfolded the whole time, right? And they drown you.
He duct tapes their eyes.
Yeah, dude. Really, when it comes down to it, he found a way to legally abuse these people. But I think he's trying to like. I like what he's doing.
Hell
You
yeah.
know, I'm not gonna say I dislike it.
Torturing people is cool.
Yeah. I think he started in California, and they had to move away from there, and the cops have been called. Like he's in
He
Kentucky
calls
now.
the cops now and tells them, "Hey, we're doing a show tonight. Like, don't show up. You
We're
don't need
doing a
to.
show.
People are
No
gonna scream for help.
one, no one is
Yeah.
being murdered." Yeah.
But people think it's like a haunted house. They're like, "Oh, I can get through that." No,
Yeah.
you'll get beat up a little bit. You'll get roughed up and fucking
So I mean,
dunked underwater.
is there no? It's not like a matter of like you're on this dude's land and you just kind of like start out and you're like, oh, and then he'll eventually come up and like snatch you up. It's just like, all right, you get here, I'm duct taping your eyes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Let's get it.
He's in it the whole time with you. He's walking
Yeah.
you through it and fucking you up the whole
the
time.
whole time ducking you underwater and torturing you, and then.
Yeah.
He makes you come dressed up in something like that.
Yeah, like this. You show up like this.
He makes you come in only
Genius.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would think, like, watching it, it doesn't seem like it would be difficult to withstand the shit, but
Right.
I think the worst part, at least for me anyway, is you're literally, your eyes are duct taped shut the whole time. So you're in an unfamiliar place. You can't see, and you have no control at all.
And he calls the cops like in front of you.
Yeah.
And they talk, in front of you and lets them know, like, no matter what you hear, it's all, don't worry. So you think that nobody's going to come help as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can see how it could be like,
But
mentally
they both,
fucked
like,
up.
the person in, I guess, participating and him both wear body cams, so the whole thing is recorded, so there's proof of everything that happens.
Yeah.
So
You can't make up shit.
right, so no one can
Because
say
people have tried. They were like, "Oh, he did stuff to me in there," and so he took that video to court and proved it. He was like, "Nope, they just thought I was."
sure didn't.
So, like, does he cut people or, like, put roaches in their mouth?
Absolutely, we
roaches
saw
in
the
the mouth.
roaches. I don't know if he cuts people or not. I know.
I'm
Dude.
out.
They do.
I
They
know.
end up with like black eyes and then like a bloody lip, a couple cuts on their own bruises,
He
stuff
said
like
that
that.
he has had one person die and one person had a heart attack.
But we don't know if that's part of the mind fuck though.
Yeah, it
Oh,
could
you
also
tell
be
me.
part
It would
of
have
it.
to be.
Yeah. And so
Oh, you
all
mean
of
like
it.
in the sense that, like, he's just making it up so people
Right.
will think not everyone's safe.
shit.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Anything could happen to me.
Okay.
Anything. You know
I
what
could
mean?
also see it being true though, as
Yeah.
well. I mean,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you
That's perfect.
people's hearts can stop for no fucking reason. I mean,
Yeah.
perhaps they used cocaine excessively 20
And
years ago.
They
Like,
signed this waiver, this 40-page
it's
waiver.
not on me.
And they have it filmed that you read every single word.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
you
beautiful.
can't say shit
Yes.
about it.
It's fantastic. I truly think that he has found a fantastic. I would never do it. I don't want to do that shit. But I think it's fucking cool.
If it wasn't for the roaches, I could live with it. But no,
swear.
fuck that.
I like the people who are like, they're runners and sprinters, and they're like, I'm looking for a new, exhilarating experience. And then
Yeah.
they show up and they make it like after the waiver, maybe 40 minutes.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
"I'm
If
out.
that,
I'm done."
No.
No, fuck this. This isn't what I signed up for. This is exactly what you signed up for.
Yes, that's
We
exactly.
read it together.
Yeah, I know
Man.
you know.
That'd be cool. Maybe we should do something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got
Let's
a
rip
backyard.
him off.
I know totally.
Fuck his business model.
Oh, he buries them
prob-
alive too.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
Oh,
does.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like in nothing but like a mesh mask and
Yeah.
like those mud and just water, dirt, fucking everything on him. Buried alive, dude. Fuck
This
that.
guy went on there like interviewing him, trying to find out like why he does it. Like he's basically saying, like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And the dude is just
He's
so
awesome,
friendly. He seems
Yeah.
awesome. It seems to me like he just truly enjoyed what he did in the army, and
Yeah.
he can't do it anymore. So
I
he's like,
know.
"How can I do this
won't take me
legally?"
back.
Yeah, this is what I'm gonna do, and that's what he does. It's fucking great.
Well, that's why I make that joke about trying. Like, I wish that real world was a lot like prison in the fact that, like, yo, if I have a problem with you,
Yeah.
me and you fight, till one of us give up,
Yeah.
or one of us get knocked out,
And
and
then
then we
we're
go on
good.
about like in the office, just like we're at our desk. You say some fucked up shit. I'm like, okay, bro, game time. And then we fight,
Yeah.
and then whoever wins, wins. Whoever loses, they get respect too.
Hell
And
yeah.
you go back
I
to your
like the
day. Like,
idea. You
know
say
what I mean?
game time, and then like all the desks just get pulled out, and you
Yes.
got like a floor, spotlights.
yeah, man.
That'd be badass.
It's
but
game time.
instead, it's just
bunch
one
of
person
motherfuckers.
fucking talking shit and throwing you under the bus, and then
All
just
the time.
doesn't
And
make
they
eye
win.
contact for 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't that crazy? Like in this world, like you can't fight somebody without getting that. But they can fuck you over completely.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they do it in the right way, you have no legal action to take
Nothing you
against
can
them.
fucking do
And
about
they
Yeah,
it.
know
there's
it.
No legal action, but you can still fuck them up if you're not a bitch.
Hell yeah.
Wear a ski mask
And they know
fuck 'em
that,
in
and
the
I feel like
ass.
that's where the lack of eye contact comes in. Because
Yes.
it's like, look, I know that you can't do anything legally to me, but if you punch me, I can't defend
Yeah.
myself.
You're much bigger than I am.
I was gonna do work for a guy, right, man? And you could tell, like, I knew him from like the people that I'd worked for, his family and shit, and you could tell where he came from in life. You know what I mean? And like the first thing
Like
he
what
told
city?
me when no, just like the lifestyle that they had, the way he was raised and shit.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a
and
bitch.
He's a bitch. And the first thing out of his mouth was like, they weren't afraid to sue if the work wasn't good. You don't want to do work for a guy like that because he can sue over anything.
And great, fuck you, find somebody else.
But you could tell in life that he never got punched the fuck out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know that kind of person. They never got in a fight or just never had to have an altercation at all. And they've always won in their life. Their mom always told them they were good and you're doing a great job.
Well, and I guarantee they always took legal action.
Yeah, if
they
it didn't.
sued people. Yeah. And I really wish like that you had been like, I'll do work for you, but you have to fight me first. And then, okay, and then I'll do work, but you have to fight me.
Hell yeah.
Fight me,
because
piece of
you
shit.
clearly have never had your ass kicked before.
That would be
some
a
of
cool
those
little clause in it.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I will do this work, but if you press any charges or bring up legal action, we also fight before the
Hell
trial.
What happened to that? Like, where in life did that get fucked up where you can't fight and then just like fight it out and be okay? And
somewhere
you walk on.
along the way.
I feel like it was the OJ trial.
I was going to say it happened with all this bullying stuff where kids aren't allowed to be bullied anymore. Everyone's fucking freaking out about it. Right. But it's also, people started using guns. So instead of fighting, they started shooting each other.
Don't know how to fight now.
We read this story. We actually read it separately. And then we're like, hey, listen to this shit.
No, you listen to this shit.
This girl, mind you, these 4 kids got locked up. They look like babies. One of them is 18.
Yeah,
he's
like
the youngest one. The oldest, I think, was 25.
And a baby like he had the fat.
I definitely thought that they were in middle school when I saw the picture. So the girl had dated this guy, and now it had been like over a year. And they hadn't spoken to one another, and she was now dating this other person. Well, they conspired to murder the person from a year before.
Murder him.
Murder. Yep. They were going to go to the house, knock on the door, lure him out, and then shoot him in the fucking head.
Why not do it inside?
Why would you do it at all? Nothing happened. You know. He didn't treat her poorly. She didn't dislike him. It's not like they were still fucking or anything. Dude shot him. He ended up living. And he was like, I have no idea why this happened. I haven't spoken to her in a year. And now they're all locked up and they're going to serve probably close to life in prison.
Oh, yeah.
So,
because, I mean, that's lunacy.
What is the point? Oh, now that.
Well, some people are just rotten. They don't give a fuck.
It's fucking crazy to me. I'm so pissed off about it.
That kind of ties into a thought I had yesterday where, like people like conspiracy theories and shit. They like to think that the government does a bunch of evil, nefarious shit.
Yeah.
Psychologically, it's because the idea of somebody being like actually in control and making these decisions is more comforting than the idea of there's no reason for this. This could happen unannounced for no good reason, and it's still fucked up. So people take solace in it.
Damn, dude, that's just like clinging to the Bible in a bad situation, or believing in God because you have no direction.
It's exactly what.
Why
it
are we
is.
like that?
If I believe hard enough, it'll fix it.
Well, people so badly, they need a reason for things. They need an explanation. They need, again, it comes back to they need stuff to fit into their nice little boxes and categories so they can stow it away where it belongs.
So why is the idea that, sometimes fucked up shit happens? Why is that not an acceptable reason?
I have no idea. Because it works for me. I mean,
I had a buddy that died, and then saw it like everybody. It happened like it was his time. It happened for this reason or that reason, and I'm just like, maybe there is no reason for anything.
Yeah.
And maybe this God you speak of, like he didn't give a shit when the car was rolling. He didn't like put a stop to it or whatever. Yeah. And I know like that in the grand aspect of things, and especially when it comes to the Bible, like he wasn't really that important in the bigger picture, technically, right? But I think it's unfair to put any amount of responsibility on a God or a Jesus or
because they've already given you the promise of eternal life.
Right.
Who gives a fuck about this one?
Right.
I listened to these psychologists and they were like, and Alan Watson, he was like, who the fuck would want to go and spend eternity in church?
I swear
He said,
to God,
for those who want to like follow the book and be righteous, who would want to go and sit in front of their, because it says in the Bible that for eternity you will stand in his presence and stand in awe of him, right?
Yeah.
He was like, who wants to go and set like fucking Indian style in front of a god and praise him all day,
Forever.
every day,
Let's
for
suck
eternity?
his sunlight dick all of eternity.
Who wants to do that? Not me. And if there is a God, I apologize, but it's something I wouldn't want to do. Like,
Well,
I don't want to do that.
It's one of my
Put me in
least
limbo.
favorite things that people say, like when something bad happens and they say, why would God do this to me? Like, first off, if you believe in God, why do you think that you get to know anything that he's thinking, has planned, his reason for it? Why do you think that you get to know that?
Yeah.
Second off,
If you can't figure it out yourself, fuck you.
yeah, like you are not entitled to that. It says it nowhere in your book. It says it nowhere that you get to know what the fuck he's
At the
thinking.
end of time, I'll give you the rundown.
Yeah, I'll explain it to you, I promise.
Psych, there is no end of time, bitch.
Yes. And then the second thing is just, it comes back to the question of why do you need to know this? Like, I know it sucks and it helps perhaps you pass and get, move forward and get over it. But you can also get over it without knowing why.
I think evolutionarily, it's because we want to manipulate everything to our own benefit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if we can understand that, then we're golden.
Hell yeah.
But, you also do kind of have to come to peace with not knowing everything, which I'm still working on because I'm kind of pissed.
Well, it's definitely something that everybody struggles with.
I think
For
when
sure.
you don't actually know everything, it's a more comforting fact than trying to grab on to anything, even in the slightest amount. If you just stick to like, I don't know, the world opens up to you to do anything. And they talk about like the multiverse. If every possibility has ever happened ever that you can even conceive, right?
Yeah.
Then you can bring anything into the physical universe. Like,
Right.
you can bring anything into this physical world you want to because it's already been done. Like, they've already found a way to do it.
Right.
In all these multiple whatever. So all possibilities are possible. You don't know what you're doing. Nobody knows why we're here.
Yeah.
And own that. Like, why do we have to like grab on to shit? And
Nobody knows
especially
why we're here. Just come watch TV.
Yeah.
the religious thing.
The voice. Just
The-
come on.
The religious thing, I think, is what really eats me alive.
Yeah.
And more so because like being technically thrown out of the church and stuff like that and looked at bad and all that without even like no reasoning,
Not doing anything wrong.
not really doing anything wrong, using my mouth.
Yeah.
I think,
Which is our right
yeah,
as Americans.
I mean, I'm sure that they mean well and
And
they
if this
teach
is
you
God's
right
country,
and wrong.
as we've been led to believe,
I know.
But I'm
I can do
I'm
this.
sure that it teaches you right and wrong and good and evil and all
Right.
that shit. And I'm sure there's good and it's based and all that shit. But I do truly think that everything has been used for power. People need that power.
Absolutely.
See, if they can get you to believe that something is greater than you and that, they hold the key to it, they can get you to believe anything.
They can get you to do
There's
anything.
Charles
It's-
Manson.
And so that's why there have been so
that
many
didn't take much
cults
convincing.
and a lovely LSD.
Yeah.
But that's why there have been so many cults and so many people like give away everything, their families, like
Yo,
literally everything.
We were watching this
Time
thing
and time
about
again.
cults,
Well, I mean,
right?
that is
And
kind
it-
of what Jesus preached.
well, that's what I'm saying.
That's what we said.
We come up with this. We were watching this documentary on cults and how easily manipulated these people were and all that shit, right? If that can happen in the 20th century, in the 21st century, when all this knowledge we have of how the universe works and how the world works, if that can happen now,
Yeah.
imagine back in a time when they didn't have internet and fucking
When they
Uber
had
and all that shit.
nothing.
They had
Yeah.
nothing.
Instead of like the stupid minority getting
Yeah.
took in, then it's
Yeah.
just like everybody.
And this guy comes
Yes.
along and they were like, we have to preach this word only because I want our one and only God and supremism and all that shit. We want that, right? At heart, that's what they wanted because that's what other cult leaders want. They're narcissistic. They're follow me, look at me. Every pastor at every church has a little bit of narcissism
I
in it.
have the answer.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what makes Christianity any different from a cult other than like obvious like don't drink the
Numbers.
juice and shit.
Right.
Oh, well, you're
But
drinking
you know-
the man's blood and eating his bread skin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and say that
bread
one
skin.
that
Chicken
that's
skins.
nasty. The chicken skins.
You're eating
Oh,
his chicken
it's one of the
skins.
best parts. But that one that we watched was from 2016.
2016.
He just got locked up, and it wasn't culty in the sense of drinking the Kool-Aid
Yeah, like
and
normal
fucking
cult.
poisoning
Yeah.
themselves and
Yeah,
shit.
they're not all suicide.
That's
yeah,
what,
no,
yeah.
it
I'm in a
was.
cult.
Aren't we all? You absolutely are.
Yeah.
But you stop conforming to it once you realize that it just could be the most influential cult that has ever been, and they've stayed under the radar by not
By being on the
preaching
map.
like death we
Yeah.
have to follow Haley's comet, we have to drink this while Haley's
Well,
comet's
I feel like
flying
if you
over.
don't
Yeah.
try to cut people off from their
Yes.
everyday lives,
Oh, and
Yeah.
their
nobody
families
fucks
and
with you.
stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're like, disregard your friends, fuck your family, come with me.
They're like, all right, sure, I'll do that too.
Hey, hold on,
Yeah.
but don't they though? Because every time I go to like my grandpa or something like that, they look at you different and they act
Well,
different around
yeah.
you because you don't go to church. And then they're like, you have to go to a church, not this one, but
Yeah.
a church.
Yeah.
And it's like, but why? Tell me why I have to.
Yeah.
If all you can say is this book says it, that's not
Yeah,
enough
because
reason.
I'm not going and I'm doing fine. I'm actually doing better.
Better than I did, and I'm happier for not going.
Yeah.
I guess
But I have
that's-
these questions that a book can't answer.
That's their limited worldview
Mm-hmm.
because they think that they need it, so you need it.
Yeah. And it's absolutely what it is. That's really frustrating to me, though. Like, I need it, so you need it. Not everybody's the same. How can you not see that?
Yeah. Well, some people are stupid.
Well, and how do you not know anything about me? You think, like, I need some? What do I
My-
need? I'm fine.
My head is so far up my own ass. Oh, it's like people in a relationship where like they accuse you of cheating because they're cheating.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ooh,
you
yeah.
need God because I need God.
That's exactly what it is.
Well, and
Fucking
that's, I
guilty
think,
conscience.
Although we do all need God.
I think in your
Whatever.
a lot of people in their later years is when they really find and come close to like Jesus and God, because you're getting down to that time where you realize, hey, it's almost go time. The ship is about to leave the station, son.
Yeah.
You are about to die, and they can't handle that
Fuck go
thought.
time. Let's get
Yeah.
back to game time.
Game time.
You know what I mean? They can't handle that thought. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, I got to hang on to something. I have to believe that something's beyond this. When you look at Alan Watts talking about the black void,
Yeah.
I'm fucking cool with that. What was it before you were here? When you weren't born,
Yeah.
what the fuck were you? Where were you before
Right,
this? Were you in
exactly.
the holiness of the holies, motherfucker? No, you weren't.
You were just.
You don't
You were
know
nothing.
that.
You don't
You
know.
don't remember.
Exactly.
Just because
No.
you don't remember doesn't mean you weren't.
You were a motherfucking little microscopic
No, wait, simmer down.
dickhole
Think
juice
about this.
in a nutsack.
Yeah, all right.
That's all I got to say about that.
Hey, maybe that's like white holes, instead of black holes. White holes really just kind of dump out into dudes' ball bags, and then that's how life comes forth.
Maybe this universe is in a nutsack.
We're just a
Yes.
bunch of sperm.
Yeah.
I
Why
dig
wouldn't
it.
we be?
We're just
It's a-
debating genocide and jisms.
Yes.
I was thinking, like,
Jism side.
whenever I fell off the SUV, like, I didn't remember
Yeah.
what I was doing the day before or any
And how
of
many
that
days
shit,
were you out?
But I was still there. I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
But the point is
You get what I'm saying? though?
that it equates to the idea of, like, before we were here, before we were born, who knows what the fuck we were doing. We actually could have been in a bleak, terrible abyss for 7,000 years getting tortured by goblins.
Yeah.
But we also might not have been.
Yeah, you wouldn't know
But
any
you
different.
know what? If you don't remember, did it happen? I mean,
Okay,
does
well, as a thought experiment, think of it like that. Okay, so let's say Adam ties you to the wall and tortures you for 20 days. Are you going to still have that thought? Like, well, if I don't remember this, it didn't happen. It's happening now, bitch.
but if I,
But is it really?
yeah, because
Yes.
no, because if it has no impact on you, the difference in that is that eventually I would remember it because it's happened. So I've been traumatized by it. So yes, my brain is blocking it out to protect myself, but eventually I would remember it.
Yeah,
Well,
but when you die,
Yeah, I was thinking, let's
wouldn't have been
let's
a
say
thing
you
to happen.
die before your subconscious is like, all right, you can know about this now. then
Well, really, at that point, then nothing I
wouldn't
did
matter.
happened
Yeah.
because no one's going to carry on my name and say, hey, this girl did drugs for too long and then told other people to stop doing drugs, and that's what she did with her life. Like, no one's going to tell that story. One time she dressed up like an eagle.
well, now it's going to live on the podcast. So.
Yes.
There's many thought processes that believe in the fact that everything is infinitely always going. It's a cycle. Everything's a cycle. There's many, not religions, so to speak, and we call them religions, but like the Buddhists and everything, they believe that it's an endless cycle, and you don't get to tell yourself what you want to come back as and all that. This cycle of your consciousness, that energy leaving and coming and leaving and coming, is an endless cycle that you have no power over. You have no power over it. It flows just like the Tao flows.
But even within that shit, there are some that have the belief that throughout the cycle of like reincarnation and shit, you won't go backwards.
Right.
Like if you evolve from a roach to a frog, then you're fine. But then that implies that there's some retention.
Yeah, because you're getting better each time.
Right. And therefore, it stands to reason that some of that shit's going to carry on, even if you're not like consciously aware of it, so to speak.
Yeah.
But
Well,
who knows?
I'm saying definitely the only reason I know any of this is happening is because I'm conscious. So if I'm not, is it happening? No.
Yes.
No, because there's nobody to interpret it.
Just because there's no one to interpret it doesn't mean that it's not happening. It's not being registered.
If a fucking tree falls in the goddamn rainforest and nobody's around to hear it, does it fall?
Yes.
Yes.
How do you fucking know?
Because the question is, does it make a
Because
sound?
you told me.
And it doesn't make a sound. It makes the sound. It makes the vibrations, which are registered by ears that are around.
So that's to assume that everything, everything makes a vibration. So no matter what happens, it's vibrating.
Yes.
So yes, it is happening.
It
no
is
matter
happening, but it's not necessarily perceived in the same way.
what. Okay.
Wow.
So
Well,
yes, it's still
thank
happening.
you.
There's
With
the
that,
difference.
I'm on board. Everything happens.
Yeah!
Thank you.
There's the difference.
Yeah, I just needed the vibrations.
No, I did watch.
It
It was
a
an
really
old.
long conversation to get to that.
I watched an old video. It was like in the 70s or 60s or 70s, right? And it was this guy talking about, and we've talked about it on the podcast before, if that our bodies are nothing but energy.
I know it won't
Every
work.
particle, atom, everything in your body is an energy, because that's how we measure atoms and particles and all that shit.
Yeah.
If they're measured in radio waves, like there is no actual physical particle. When you break down the particles, there's like quarks, and then they break down the quarks, there's more particles, and then they break down so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But they're identified in radio waves. He said that it may not be possible right this second, but believe it, that if we can transfer like radio waves across the long distance or satellite waves across long distances, then we damn sure can pull apart every frequency that's in your body and put it together
Thanks. I was
a
thinking
million
about
miles
that.
away from here.
Yeah.
And I believe that. But this
I
was
do
a
too.
guy in like the 60s or 70s, like he was a professor, and he was saying that it was extremely possible. We just haven't figured out the way to do it yet. And I'm excited to see. You know, I don't know how much teleportation would be a handy thing aside from going on vacation.
Handy as fuck.
You know what I mean?
People would drive less like assholes.
Oh yeah, and we wouldn't need
Right?
Oh,
airplanes
they probably wouldn't. I don't know.
because you could break
I
down
wouldn't drive
Amazon
anywhere.
items and
Right.
ship those across portals. You know,
Hell
so
yeah.
that'd be pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
Everything would be different.
Yeah, it would change the game.
Yeah.
So how do we do it? That's the question.
That is the question. I'd love to know, though. So,
We'd have to be able to identify
Back to the research
every single cell in
Every
a person's
single one.
body.
and how they interact with
That
each
would be
other.
messed up, and we'd have to be able to pinpoint where consciousness is. It wouldn't be a matter of transporting the physical self. Got to transport the mental self.
yeah.
See, it's something we talked about. Like,
But
after
wouldn't
you,
it also just all be waves? They're just waves in a specific
but
sequence.
we're like
But
talking
that-
about like
that
consciousness
implies
now
that
at
it's
this
all on
point,
a physical platform.
right? Mm-hmm. So once you do that, and there's Alan Watts believes that the brain is a supercomputer, and we talked about this. It powers off at night, powers back on during the day, and that energy that's floating around in the fucking universe comes back into the body. Same thing with like near-death experiences. You're back into that void, and then all of a sudden your supercomputer comes back to life for some reason, and it gets sucked back in here. Now, sometimes you might be gorked when you come back in.
Gorked.
but it does happen. So, if your brain was a supercomputer, after we transfer all those waves across millions of miles, would that energy do the same exact thing it did when you fall asleep and wake up? Would it re-enter the supercomputer? That's the thing, transferring the consciousness, I think. But we're almost to a point where we can download your memories and thoughts and all that shit onto a computer. We're almost there.
Almost.
We're just moving forward.
If you can do that, that still doesn't necessarily mean that you know what it is or what it does. You've just figured out how to move it from one place to another.
Yeah.
Like, I can do that, but I still, what is this? Like, I mean, I know it's a piece of paper, but like, I don't know what its waves look like, what atoms are in it, or
Right.
anything
And that's
like
what
that.
it gets like with
So that's where you start.
like quantum physics and shit. They're like, well, we can do this. We don't know how the fuck it does it or why.
But we can do it.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. You need to pick. What they need to pick is something that has the least amount of waves. Like, say, a piece of paper. I don't know. I don't know what has the least
They'll
amount.
probably use rats.
Yeah. But, just something. And then, try to get it from that side of the table to that side of the table without picking it up or moving it through changing its physical composition.
Yeah.
And then re-putting the pieces back together over here. And then start off with something very simple. And then start moving up. Then rats. Then monkeys. Then we'll
I think,
go to here.
when we discussed it today, you mentioned like a Coke can. Like, I think that would be neat.
Yeah, because it's just aluminum.
And
I
then,
believe.
though, you can also still test its efficacy. So, can it hold something? So, you pour water into it.
To
If
make
it
sure
can
on the
hold
other
it
end.
and you can still drink out of it, then it is still its true self.
And would the label on it transfer?
Right. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, ideally.
Yeah.
might
Otherwise,
say-
it's not what it is.
It might be
Yeah.
spelled Loca Loca. Or
Loca Loca.
Loca. but it'd still have a label, maybe. It might be blue or pink.
Loca Loca.
Loca.
Oh, I love it.
That's
I want to
pretty
live
good.
the Loca Loca.
Live in Loca Loca. So where'd the research take us next?
Well, I
On
was
your
going to
journey.
give you all a quote-unquote scary story.
Spoopy.
Yeah. It's not spooky, but it is fucking terrifying. So, there's an asteroid. Yes. Which, I'm sure you both probably already know this, but there's an asteroid named 4813942006 SF6. It is set to be close to the Earth November 21st. So it's crossing into Earth's orbit.
Oh, yeah, seen that.
And it's 650 meters big. And they said that an asteroid 35 meters big can destroy entire cities.
God damn.
I know.
But it apparently it's not. It's coming close enough to where we can view it.
And I want to fucking do that. I
yeah.
need to see it.
You can view it. And apparently you can
I want to see my murderer.
there's an amount of time where you can see it, but it comes in and out of our universe, but it passes right beside Earth, whatever day. I mean, they have it calculated, which I don't know how they do, but they
November
fucking
21st.
beautiful.
They
Yeah.
see how quickly it's moving and
Shit,
its
man.
distance from Earth and just calculate.
It's like if
Yeah.
a train leaves a station in Boston,
Oh yeah, I felt
What
that
time
class,
will
bro.
it arrive at this place if it's going this fast?
But yeah, it's supposed to be observable.
How does
That'd
Legless
be pretty
Larry
cool.
get on it?
Hell yes. How does he get on it?
Get up on
Flow and just roll. I don't
He
think
floats,
throw.
man. He can't walk, but he can float. Because he's part ghost.
So there is this thing called the Yarkovsky effect, which essentially nudges it closer to Earth.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yarkovsky's a dick.
So this is how it's described. The Yarkovsky effect is the soft force of sunlight steers asteroids, well, probably other things as well, but into Earth-crossing orbits and can change the layout of their paths.
That makes me mad.
Yes.
The sun's an asshole.
So
Hey,
it can
Exactly.
change our orbit
See that
by a little
planet
bit.
there?
Yes.
They need me. I'm tired
Well,
of
it
them.
probably has
Get
like
on
a
over
field
there.
around it too, like a gravitational field around
Yeah.
it, because it's a mass moving through the universe. So if it passed close enough to us, it could knock us off of our path, that we've been on for these, hundreds
Which
of billions
just
of
puts
years.
it at so much risk.
Yeah, that's even
We
more
get
risk
knocked
than being
into the
hit.
sun or to the abyss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have more of a chance of like if you're hit. Yeah, okay, well you take a hit. Like
Yeah.
everybody's gonna die, but the other way is a slow death. Like you get to watch yourself float past Saturn and shit. Like bye universe,
Yeah.
out into nothing. I don't
Hell,
think it'll happen that much. Our sun really has a huge gravitational pull, so it might knock us off a little bit, or if it changes your axis by a little
that
bit.
would just be fucking strange.
Yeah, it would be really weird.
You get knocked off a little.
Just
and
a
you're
little
like,
bit.
You know.
Everything
Just a
would
little
be
bit.
different. You'd have to readjust.
I bet you'd be able
completely.
to the Earth. We'd be able to register it. Like we could probably feel it past us.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say probably so.
If it's that big, moving that quickly, yeah.
They have this thing where they like classify the asteroids. I didn't get to follow up. I wanted to see what at the time that I read the article they hadn't classified it yet, and they were planning to. So I haven't got to follow up and see if they ever classified it or not. So
Yeah.
I'd like to know.
Big as fuck.
If it's too big,
Yeah.
they're just gonna deny they ever found it.
Oh yeah, just
Oh,
joking.
we were wrong.
It just
Yeah.
went away.
It's like somebody that's got to take a big dump and it just goes. It just went away.
Yeah.
Huh?
They
Sure
could be
it'll
like
come back.
a black hole ate it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what they'll say.
It's our savior. Praise the black hole.
Oh,
That's
black
like they
hole.
recently, and like you said, you never can be sure if they're right, but they found a huge, massive black hole in the center of our universe,
Yes.
which is actually eating the fuck out of our universe slowly.
Right. Which is
Did you
fantastic.
see what they were thinking? Theoretically, it could be a wormhole, and they're working on ways to measure that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fucking
What's
What's
cool.
the difference?
Like if there's a black hole is just gonna like suck you in and
The
you're fucked.
wormhole
A
would
wormhole will put you somewhere
transport
else.
you through time and space.
To like another layer of dimension,
Space
I
and
guess.
time.
Yeah. yes. It works both ways.
Yeah, and they say like I don't know, they're supposed to be able to pick up on the movements of certain things, or like if they behave in a certain way, they're like, okay, this is evidence that it's a wormhole.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
like
It'd be fucking cool to find a
that'd be fucking
wormhole.
cool.
I don't
Hell yeah.
think it takes like a
I'd get in
very
it.
intelligent
Let's
person to
send a
figure things
YouTuber
out.
with a GoPro into it.
It's like the guy that figured out how to design a car that would run off of water.
Mm-hmm.
Strictly water. It would turn it into hydrogen, use the hydrogen as a fuel. Anyways, that guy, the one that got poisoned. and
Yeah.
killed.
Died of a heart attack.
Yeah, the guy
That
that
guy.
the government didn't kill.
Yeah. yeah. You okay?
He didn't graduate high school.
You okay?
That fucking my shit. He didn't graduate high school, I don't believe. He didn't go to college, I know that. And he just come up with this because he had worked with things of that matter, and he just used his brain, was like, yeah, this is probably how it's going to work.
That is what I was
And
gonna
he just
do.
kept trying shit until it worked. You don't have to be fucking super
Yeah,
intelligent.
you don't have to be a genius. Like,
Yeah.
for him, like, he worked on cars always. He knew what every
Yeah.
single piece
He
did.
knew how to make
How they
hydrogen.
interacted together. He was a doctor, but for cars. Like, that's why doctors can fix humans, because they know what
Yeah.
everything in the body does, what impacts it, what doesn't. And
So you don't necessarily have to be a
Figure it.
genius, but you do have to have focused knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have
Yes,
to have a
yes.
working knowledge
Plus,
of the
it was
things
the
that you're
result of
working
like
on.
millions of years of evolution.
Yeah.
yes, that
yeah.
as well.
But let's disregard that because that's boring and stupid.
a lot of Einstein's
Thank you for bringing it up.
developments are his whatever, not inventions so much, but his theories, I guess you could say, that have been proven right now. They were all based on thought experiments. So
Hell yeah.
he would think of himself as like a star or planet moving through the universe, and like that's where the theory of relativity came from.
Yeah.
You think about that, like if you place yourself in certain situations and thought experiments, you can really get to any conclusion. And then if you put on top of that there are infinite amounts of possibilities that have already happened, well, whatever you come up with has already happened. So you can do it. You just have to figure out how it's done.
I think we have to find out how all of this stuff applies practically.
It
to
doesn't.
things.
We would have to be in different fields in our life,
That's brutal.
for sure.
Brutal.
You guys want to talk about destruction and shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Always.
It was like, what was
Always.
I forget. Without, I don't know how to look it up because I don't know where it is. But like in Detroit, they had Hell Night or like Devil's Night, I forget which one it was, but you know, it kind of evolved over time, and they took the mischief aspect of Halloween to the extreme, and they're like setting shit on fire and like destroying cars and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like recently?
Nah, this was in like the 60s or 70s.
Oh.
And
sounds fucking awesome.
yeah. Actually, it might have been in the 90s. I don't remember.
You don't know.
I wrote it the
Excellent
fuck
research.
down.
Either way, what an amazing time
So
to be
good.
around. If I could pick a time to go back to, I would say
that
I
one
want to be 18 at the beginning, like the best part of the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So like, let's pick 65.
Yeah.
Because women started burning their bras and giving their vagina away for a cupcake, you know?
I don't have the
Give me
goddamn
that
year.
time. I got a bunch of cupcakes, and I'm ready to get it on
Right.
with a lady.
You're
while
married,
on
so you don't
LSD.
get to.
Yeah, but if I
Sorry.
could go back to the 60s, I wouldn't be married at that time.
That's
It's
true.
not 2019.
You're not taking her with you?
I was gonna say unless
No.
you go back like presently.
No, but look, if we were both in that time and we found each other, we'd both be like, free love. Let's fucking blow everything. I mean, I wouldn't blow a guy. Maybe, though.
You probably would.
Yeah, I definitely would blow
Let's
a guy.
just be honest.
I can swallow a hot dog whole.
You need to turn that camera on. It's off completely.
That's weird. Why would you know that you can swallow a hot dog whole?
It's a
That
part-
Because
implies
he's
that
done
you've
it
done it.
multiple times.
It's a party trick. I can swallow a whole pin and hold it in my mouth and then bring it right back out of my mouth, close my lips and everything, bro. I could be great at sucking dick. Let's just put it that way.
I was thinking you'd be a pretty good magician.
Oh,
he
that
is
too.
a really good magician.
Both.
Musician.
Musician. Yeah.
Nah,
Oh,
he is.
shit.
He did that one coin thing where he kind of fooled me.
Right?
I got you, son.
Well,
I
would
swear
say-
when he did the coin thing, the first time I was like, how'd you do
Yeah,
that?
how the
like,
fuck?
He thought I was joking because it's basically meant for kids.
Yeah.
And nope, I didn't know where it went.
It's still pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Just
it
wait
is.
until I pull it out of your asshole.
Yeah.
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 Then
How'd
it'll be
that
it'll be less
get
of a
in there?
surprise though.
So,
I put all kinds of stuff up there.
so did these people get in trouble?
I think at this point, yeah, then it was probably back in the day because at this point, does Detroit even have a police division, like a police department?
Yes.
No, that's why it's so buck.
What does is somebody told me like on one side of the tracks, there's like the police don't even go, but on the other side where the city's at and the businesses are and shit, they're like that's where they patrol. But if it happens on the other side of the tracks, they take a long time to get there. They might go,
Yes.
but it might be days after when all the shit calms down.
They're probably like, do I really? Damn it, I didn't look and see if someone got shot today.
Nope.
We drove past. There were like 8 cop cars and an
Caution tape.
ambulance.
Yeah.
But I
Orange spray
imagine
paint on
they'd
the
sit
ground.
there and think, do I really want to risk my life, leave my family, and all
Yeah,
this
man.
shit for this
For
problem?
$14 an hour
Right.
and a bullshit pension, nah, fuck it. Let them
But
kill
at least
each
you can
other.
speed.
Ooh, yeah, I can get to places much faster.
Silver lining.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. We should do that here sometime.
In addition to the Devil's Night, there was also in parts of England called Miggy Night.
Ooh, I
What's
haven't heard
that?
of this.
It was just nights of pranks
Of
and,
miggies.
and
Okay.
mischief.
Miggies.
Yeah, they just fuck shit up in their quaint British way.
Oh, Mickey is their little term that they use for it.
Nigga,
You fucking goof.
No.
you
Oh,
fucking
there was
goof.
Goof.
You goof.
There was a thing though, it kind of made me mad. I forget where the hell it was, but it was Punkie Night. And the website like tried to sell it as this mischievous kind of like evil thing, but like there was a song, and it's like Punkie Night, something something Punkie Night. I'm like,
What?
that's not. Oh yeah, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
It's Punkie Night tonight. It's Punkie Night tonight. Adam and Eve would not believe it's Punkie Night tonight.
Oh, they nailed it.
Oh, yeah, man.
Because the way it fucking says it says, well, what makes it extra sinister is the fact that this band of marauding youngsters is generally led by a punky king and punky queen, and they sing a song.
Oh, kill me.
Kill me now.
It's punky night tonight.
Punky time,
This
yo.
one's kind of fun. In Germany, they celebrate Halloween, but as it is a time to honor and respect the dead. One tradition is to hide all the knives in the house for fear that returning spirits might injure themselves on any knives left out. I know
Well,
they're not
that's
gonna murder
kind.
each other. It's just, oh, all right, ghost, you've learned to traverse the the universe on either side.
Yes.
Watch out for them knives.
Yeah, but you haven't learned how to wield a knife yet.
Yeah.
We don't want you to get hurt.
Hey, don't you get that ghost blood on my new couch.
Bitch is white.
It's silly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's all that cool shit. And did you know Anoka, Minnesota, and Salem, Massachusetts claim to be the Halloween capital of the United States?
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Self-proclaimed.
Right?
I feel like that means it's not accurate, right?
I give it to Salem
Oh, yeah.
because they had the witch trials. And
Yeah.
I went to their website, and they have a lot more activities that are actually kind of fun seeming relating to it. And Anoka, it's just like, all right, here's what the PTA would put together.
Shut up.
So,
Well,
yeah.
that's just fucking stupid.
But they claim it because they think they were the first town in America to do it.
It's definitely not.
Was it in newsprint? I think in the 20s, it was either 1920 or 1927.
Yeah.
That was the first mention of it. But it wasn't even in the U.S. It was in Canada. So
That's fucking stupid.
the Canadies.
The Kennedys. Where was it? Let's see. I had something.
Kennedy and Kennedys.
Maryland and the southern colonies. Fucking trick-or-treating. Well, not trick-or-treating, but celebrating Halloween was super common whenever it first came over. But not in New England. Because they were super Protestant.
Oh, I'm going to talk in a minute.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's really
Thank you
cool.
for letting us know
Yeah.
ahead of time.
We played last night, and whenever we played at Air Devil's Inn, and I tend to go for a walk around the neighborhood because I like it. It makes me think of Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at the decorations. There was one house that had a skeleton on their fence, and there was one house that had an orange light on their porch and a giant Jack Skellington. Those are the only Halloween decorations I saw. And I saw one house that had a Christmas tree on the porch,
Nice.
and the other had a big, like, lit up angel in their window.
What the
So
fuck?
this fucking neighborhood is just as excited about Christmas as they are about Halloween.
Maybe
And that
they're
irritates the shit out of me.
maybe they're doing it to fight against Halloween.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
it like a protest too?
Uh-huh.
Just stupid.
I bet they don't let their kids trick or treat.
Oh,
saying-
bastards.
It just seems weird. Because there are people. Recently, like now, there's a.
Recently, like
now.
Yep.
That seemed all right. In Chicago, there's a school district. We'll say they're not celebrating any Halloween shit in the name of inclusion.
What's inclusion?
Inclusion. Like including people to not let anybody feel left out.
It's like, why did you
So they're
say
not
it like that?
So they're not celebrating.
Yeah, they're not having any kind of like Halloween activities in school. They're not gonna have.
That's fucking
any
dumb.
yeah, and as a means, because they say there are some kids that don't celebrate it for religious reasons. Some
Yeah, so they're gonna exclude the ones who do.
yes,
Yeah.
and
So
some don't.
exclusion.
They don't want to alienate the families that can't afford to buy costumes. So
Fuck that.
Why not
they're working
just-
on alternatives.
I was
Okay,
broke
at least
as
they're
shit.
working on alternatives. That's
yeah, but they're
nice.
stupid.
Yeah, well,
Because
of course they
one
are.
of the first one that I read was Hat Day. Yeah. So
It's a good day.
she loves it.
She wants to be a part of Hat Day. She
Hat
has
Day
one
sounds
picked out.
dumb as shit,
I'm
though.
gonna drool on myself.
But then I think
Custom made hats.
in Connecticut, no,
No, just
you're just
regular
gonna
ass
buy
hats.
no.
I'd buy a hat that said "fuck this holiday." And
That'd
fuck
be
this
nice.
hat.
Oh, they've also thrown around the idea of you can dress in costume, but you can come as like your favorite character or something, but it can't be anything evil or like Halloweenish.
Oh, I'd
You can
fucking
come
go
as like
against
Harry Potter, so to speak,
Because he's a character on a thing.
Right.
Yeah. But like if you try to come in as maybe like the devil.
Right.
That's so stupid.
Oh, that would be kind of fun though.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, I'm the
I'd be
devil.
like,
I mean,
well,
it's
he's been
still-
in a movie too.
Yeah.
You
I've
could be
seen
the
him.
Grim Reaper because I've seen him in a lot of movies, even children's
Then
movies.
Slenderman. You guys remember when that kid, that chick got stabbed by her two friends?
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
That's she did an interview recently.
Really?
Yeah.
like now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like now. You dickhead.
Just wondering.
Don't be mad because you're stupid.
I am. That's all I
so
have.
Good.
All I have is my rage.
Slender Man. Yeah, this shit was fucked up though.
Yeah. I wish he was real. I think that would.
Does this sound like I'm jerking off?
Yeah, that's Adam beating it to science.
Yeah.
How do we make the Slenderman real? Ask Adam.
How do you make it work? It says to slap it, and the only way I got it to work was I dropped it by accident.
Maybe you gotta lick
Oh,
it. Oh!
Did it do it?
Yeah.
look at it go.
Yeah.
Slap it.
It says
Oh, yeah,
slap
just
it.
slap.
Slap it on the floor
It's
Cool, man.
Great.
without holding it.
Hold on.
Oh shit! Hit him with it.
Okay. So you remember that book, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they made a movie.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I've seen the
Guillermo del Toro's the director
Yeah.
of it. That
This
kind of
shit-
excited me.
Have you seen any of the characters? Oh my
Oh, they
god.
look great.
Because he wanted it to stay true to the artwork in it.
Yeah.
He uses fucking makeup and prosthetics, and it's very little. What's it?
CGI.
Yeah, thank you. Very little CGI. Like they use it only when it's
Ooh.
necessary.
Yeah.
So all of the shit is real. It's
yeah.
made, and it looks fucking dope. It
Old
looks
school traditional style.
fantastic.
Tom Savini would be proud.
Yeah, no
Yeah, we should
shit.
go watch that.
Let's see. The digital copy is already out, and November 5th it'll be out on DVD and Blu-ray.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Yes.
see that.
It's crazy though that like that book and then like Chicken Soup for the Soul was always checked out. You could never check that
That's
out.
true.
Yeah,
Come
it's
on.
fucking
What's
so
up with
weird.
that? Kids only wanted to read that.
I don't know.
I just want to feel really good or really scared.
Yes.
It is kind of weird to think about that. I haven't been to a library in forever.
I guarantee
Certainly
you
not
those
to
are
check
checked
out a
out.
book. I went to like print stuff because I didn't have a printer, but
Yeah.
no.
I guess it has been a while since I'd say probably 8 years ago I checked out audiobooks.
Damn.
Yeah, and that was probably maybe 7.
Now you can get that on YouTube. That's crazy, right?
What do you guys think of
I would
demonic
still go.
possession? Is that shit real?
Yes, absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
No,
Excellent.
I think it might be like a mental condition. I don't think it's so much demonic.
How do you
They,
how do you explain the levitating and the
I
speaking
say
in
they
Latin?
actually
possibilities.
take all that stuff into if you're a legitimate person who is there to perform an exorcism, they take that into consideration. They bring a psychiatrist in and rule out
Yeah.
mental health disorders and stuff before they do it because it's so straining physically, mentally.
Yeah.
They make sure they rule all that stuff out first.
There's this dude. He's a psychologist guy, and there was an article in Time where they were talking about him. He's like the dude that they bring in for, he's a big dude in the
Exorcism world?
diagnosing of the exorcism and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
like they come to him and he says he believes in it wholeheartedly. Like there was one lady, like he went and he was doing his assessment and shit, and things in his house started like moving around and shit. And,
Yeah.
like he would hear her, but like she wasn't around.
It's fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
So-
and you hear that. I think that's extremely possible. Even like hauntings and shit. Mm-hmm. You got to think. If somebody has like a truly evil spirit, right? Mm-hmm. They murder and they don't have no feeling. Just truly evil. You can feel how evil they are by looking at them. Don't you think that when they die, their energy is so strong that it stays around and it does
Oh,
fucked
yeah.
up shit that they would have done if they were here anyways?
I could see that. It kind of like I was talking to this possessed nun last night, and
Yeah.
we were talking about like energy and shit, and like I asked about the demonic possession and shit, and we reasoned that, like whenever you're in a good mood, you can tend to keep that to yourself. Like if you're really happy, you're just like, all right, I'm in a good mood, I'm great. But like if I found like if personally I'm in a bad mood, it's a little harder to keep under control.
Yeah.
And you take it out on the people around you.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
it has more of a desire to get out. It's like the energy has a mind of its own.
Mm-hmm.
So it stands to reason then that evil themed
Kinda.
energy, so to speak,
Yeah.
would then have more ability to take on.
Other forms,
Yeah.
essentially. I
Indeed.
watched this thing about a priest who he went around and did exorcisms and shit like across the country essentially, and he went to this house. He had a driver who would take him, drop him off, and come back and pick him up, and he never got to do his last exorcism because essentially his driver believed that this the energy came home with him, and he ended up dying like the day before, or it might have been the day of. He died before he could ever go and do it.
Yeah.
And he didn't really have, I mean, he was an older guy, but he didn't have a lot of health issues or anything. I think he was sitting on a stool and he ended up falling off
Yeah.
and he died. He might have had a heart attack. I
Yeah.
don't know, but
But
was.
I've fallen out of a chair that I was sitting in, so it's
I
reasonable.
mean, I have too, but I don't know. It was just odd. But he said that there was like a noticeable change in his personality, his attitude and stuff the days before.
Yeah,
So I believe that
That's like
thing
it.
followed him home.
that would be kind
Killed
of
him.
cool.
It was in a
Mike.
little girl too. It was in like a 3-year-old, 4-year-old girl,
Yeah,
and she was just fucked up.
Mike's ex-wife said like she had a demonic presence follow her for a while because like in her younger days, her and her friends like they were into like satanic shit,
Yeah.
and you know they were just trying to conjure one up, and they were like and she said for like months it followed her around.
That's fucking
And like
crazy.
people would notice shit, and you know it was with her all the time. And the one time she was coming back from I think Florida, and she wanted to be done with it because she was like, "This is fucking my life up. Fuck this shit. This is real. I want out."
No
And
shit.
she said on the way home, like there were 2 giant angels like around her car,
That's
and then it just never
crazy.
came back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like shit, that's wild. So I was pretty happy to hear about that.
Fucking crazy.
And there's also a thing though about like you know, like the Catholic Church, you know, they have all the shit for exorcisms and fighting the demonic shit. But then there's also the idea that if they know how to fight it, then there's also knowledge that they may have of conjuring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
you know
Completely
that
possible.
kind of lends credence to the idea that the Catholic Church is evil, and then maybe the possessions are so rare. Because I've wondered about this, like
Yeah.
why the fuck if demonic possession can really happen. And evil is all like strong, and you know, because I mean, they would have to know how to take over somebody.
Yeah.
And with billions of people in the world,
It would have to be like all the
you'd
time.
have a lot of options, you know. So it seems like that maybe they could have the problem under control, but just every once in a while to get followers or you know whatever, they
do
conjure one up. And they're
Yeah.
like, all right,
Yeah.
let's get out there.
Maybe
Let's get
there's certain circumstances, like say, whatever, the 8th child born on such and such date
Right?
that has red
Yes.
hair and blue eyes, and maybe there's a certain set of rules for when they can conjure one up.
Interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, there's guidelines to demonic possession.
I want to know what that's all about. I want to know more about that shit.
There was that thing. I'll tell you what it is when we get out of here. They interviewed some people who went with him sometimes to do, because it wasn't just him that went. He had like a team of people.
Yeah.
And after he died, they continued to do. They just continued. Like I think they still went all over the place, and they interviewed him, and they still like present day are doing it. So
Yeah.
getting rid of them and shit.
Hell
It'd be
yeah.
worth watching. It's very interesting.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I want in on that.
Yeah. Do it.
Do it.
Would you bored?
No, I'm listening.
Does it make you uncomfortable, Adam?
No, I think I screwed the pooch on the studying for the podcast, so I was just listening to y'all. talk
Oh,
about that
no,
shit.
it's okay. You've been participating.
Chia.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to read the shit out of this script. We're going to have some new
Yeah.
shit coming at ya.
That's right. Coming at ya.
Y'all play next weekend?
We're playing Thursday.
Thursday. Oh, it'll be out before then. Thursday, where at?
Oh, that's Halloween.
Yeah, we're playing on Halloween.
Playing
the
on
Thirsty
Halloween.
Hound.
Thirsty
I don't know where
Hound.
this place is, but
Is that what it's called? The Thirsty Hound?
yeah, the Thirsty Hound.
Oh, just look. Hey, look that up.
Yeah.
GPS
Google
that
that
shit. What
shit.
time? 7, 9, 8, 12.
I think
15.
8 to 11. We're playing a long ass time.
Oh, yeah,
We're the
that's
only
the
band.
3
Oh,
hour
yeah,
one.
man. That's
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
a long one. Yo, go check them out.
So I'll probably be minimally drunk.
Yeah, go in the beginning of the set, though, because I'm sure by the time the end comes, you'll be drunk. It might not be. Actually, it
Means
gets
it'll be
better.
better.
Yeah, I'd say it actually gets better, too. So maybe go at the beginning and think, get a comparison,
Yeah,
you know?
maybe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But we appreciate you listening. Again, this is our half-ass Halloween episode. Hope you enjoyed it.
The Misfits are gonna play another show in
Wildly
Philadelphia.
uninteresting.
God, that's cool.
Yeah.